back on the X52 podcast. It is Thursday night, June 26th, 8:36 p.m. My name is Jake Luke. We are presented by Jimmy's Famous Seafood, and I'm joined by my guy, RDT. How are we doing tonight, my friend?
I'm cold. I'm freezing down here. It's been 118 degrees all week, but
you got kind of a contract killer look going on there with the black hoodie and, yeah, of course.
Fully season. It's a great sweatshirt. It's very big, but it's good. It's good. It was a kind of a relaxing day with no baseball. Hello, Carol, as always. We appreciate you. Yeah, it's I don't know. Everything is good. Again, we're just kind of licking our wounds after the last couple days of another fantastic week of Orioles baseball. There's nothing really else going on right now. It's hot as hell. The Orioles are bad. And what is that? There's a country song. Beer is cold.
God is great. Beer is good. People are crazy.
It's like the Orioles are bad. Beer is good. It's fucking hot outside or something. I don't know. We'll come up with a remix this weekend.
Yeah, no, I think that will be good. Yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of on fumes with this team right now. If we're keeping it a buck, man, just the way that these last three series in particular have played out is pretty deflating. I would say this one, losing this series 1-2 to the Rangers, and not only the fact that they did, but the fashion in which they did, it's just like it becomes more and more maddening kind of as we go along here. I think you could definitely write off a little bit of what happened against Tampa Bay. You could continue to say that against New York because they're the class of the division right now. But you face a Rangers team at home that's, not quite as bad as the Orioles, I would say, but they're, not exactly world beaters. And you go in there and you have this amazing sort of gem of a game by Trevor Rogers, of all people, that I know that he had obviously the start earlier in the season where he looked amazing, but he goes 8 innings and I think he only lets up 1 hit or maybe 2 total, and just an incredible way to start this series out. But then after that, you're in that second game getting no hit through a good portion of it. Then you rattle off just 3 home runs in a row, and you take a 1-run lead, but then eventually your bullpen now is the one that kind of falters a little bit. You give up a couple of runs, lose that one in extra innings, very deflating. And then it got to the point, I'm going to keep saying deflating, like it got to the point with the third game where DeGrom has just got them again. You're just getting no hit deep into a game again, which I feel like that it's a pretty common occurrence at this point. It feels like way more common than it should be. It got to like the 6th inning of that game, and I just shut it off, which I really try not to do, especially when I do have time to sit down and watch them, because I don't always. I was just like, yeah, I know the score here. Like I'm just going to go ahead and check out, and that's ultimately wound up being the right decision. Although Colton Cowser does wind up hitting a single, and you avoid a no-hitter there. But man, it just I don't know, as much hope as I kind of was feeling after that West Coast swing, and it felt like they were kind of getting back into the rhythm of things, and Tony Mansolino, maybe they're finding a little bit of something under this guy and they could make a little bit of a run here. I think it might be time to start packing up the tents. I don't know if this team has a ton more fight in it, really.
Yeah. And I was getting a couple texts this week being like, tough week. And it's like, I think this is just who they are. I think they're just not a very good baseball team. Like that's perfectly okay to say. Again, it's right around a year of baseball like this. And we had we've had flashes and glimmers, and they win 6 in a row a couple weeks ago. And you talked about the West Coast swing. They're 9-10 since then. So all they've done since then was add Jordan Westberg, who did get hurt again with his pinky or his index finger. He's back. They've added Colton Cowser, but Adley's on the IL now. So again, they're getting guys back, but there's nothing. They just can't get any momentum going. And I tweeted that the other night. That to me has been the most frustrating thing. They can't build off any momentum. You look at the Yankee series. They win the first game, but you go in there, you punch them right in the face, you get that win. Boom, that's awesome. Saturday, what happens? You lose that game. Sunday, same thing, you lose that game. So it's like, damn, you had a nice chance.
Like there are sliding doors moments in there too, where that you could hang on and win it, but there's just something just happens, and it's like Bane just breaking Batman's back over. It's brutal.
And in this case, I mean, Batman's back is Gary Sanchez being able to catch a ball, put a tag down at home plate. I mean, he single-handedly was the reason that they were in the game on, I guess Tuesday night, where, as you mentioned, they were getting no hit through, I don't know, call it 6 or 7. And then it was that 7th inning and they broke it open, and he had the 3-run home run. Ramon had the home run, O'Hearn had the home run, and boom, they're right back on top. And later in extra innings, obviously Soto gave up the Soto walked a guy, I think it was Haggerty. And Haggerty came in the game in the 8th inning, and I think he ended the game with like 3 stolen bases. It was incredible. I mean, it was one of those, like, you knew he was going. There's nothing you can do to stop it. And the bullpen pitchers just kept spiking balls, and Gary cannot stop these balls. We're used to Adley. He's had a much better year behind the plate this year, defensively, and I'm sure he stops those balls, and it's a completely different game and series. Again, the Orioles, I mean, like I mentioned, they cannot keep success going. They can't maintain any sort of momentum, and that's the most frustrating thing. Like I talked about, you win the first game in Yankees, in the Yankees series, and you crap down your leg the rest of it. Same thing with Texas. Like I said, you talked about it. Trevor Rogers went out and gave them their best start, the best start we've seen since Corbin Burns in the playoffs last year. He was incredible that night, and he had everybody buzzing. People were having fun. They were like, "Oh, this is going to be awesome!"
He's wearing the pirate hat. A picture.
Wearing the pirate hat. It was incredible. What a story that was. And then they just lose it again. You want to talk? Yeah, here we go. Jacob Calvin-Meyer, their last 5 losses, the blown 8-0 lead, no hit through 7 innings. That was Clark Schmidt. Blown 2-1 in the 8th. That was the Brian Baker bullpen game in New York, where again Gary can't hold on to a ball at home plate and put a tag down, and Gunnar makes a bad throw. Again, it's not all on Gary. Some of the throws home have not been great. And then the last 2. No hit, 6 innings, 7 innings. Perfect game through, I think that was 7 innings too.
That is a combined 20 innings within 2 weeks that you are not getting a hit. And you're losing these games. And you had a chance to win the one where you have the 3 home runs. It's just, man, you're right. It's just every single time it feels like they're taking a step forward. They step on a rake or they step in a trap, and it's just 2 steps backward after that.
Somebody had posted, I forget who, I think it was somebody for the Sun. I think they had tweeted something, and it was like the Orioles haven't had a hit in 70% of their game. It's 70% of the innings played since Saturday or something. It was something crazy like that. And it was just like, man, that seeing that and typed out was crazy.
That's where I'm just kind of starting to get pretty deflated here. And I was pretty impassioned about hey, don't go and sell on these young guys. Don't allow, don't hurt their psychology too much. But man, again, going back, like you said, a calendar year, this offense is just inability to just put full games together. Not only full games, but more than 3 or 4 innings together. It's just, that's what continues to kill them. And it's a slow, just agonizing death that you can see coming from a mile away. Once you get a couple of innings into a game and they just haven't got anything going. And I don't understand what the issue is, because it's not super common, right? You have games where you have a Colton Cowser and a Westberg in the lineup, and that'll happen. But then there are other games where, since they've both come back from injury, they've been awesome. And it's why is this happening? Why is this happening with Gunnar Henderson in the lineup? Why is this happening with Jackson Holliday in the lineup, who feels like he's an automatic single every time he steps up for the leadoff?
First at bat every game. I see it. I haven't even turned the game on most of the time, and I get the tweet notification from Rock, Jackson Holliday laces a ball into the gap, for a double. Or
right over the shortstop's head every single time. And it's he can do that a lot, but why is it all at once in some of these games, they just all simultaneously just shut down? Are they protesting something? Are they just hey, out of, I don't know what it would be. There's a lot going on in the world today that, one way or the other, they could be, but for some reason it just feels like they're on the same cycle, not to be crass. But it's just when they decide they're not going to all hit, they're all not going to hit. But then when they decide for 2 innings that they're all going to hit, then they all hit. I don't know, man. It's the most bedamning thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It just made it
it's like it comes and goes in bunches now. And we talked about it earlier in the season where it seemed like that, where it was like, all right, they're going to retire the first 9 in order, and the guy's going to have 32 pitches through 3 innings, and the Orioles are going to be down 6-0. And it's just like, okay, well, we know how this ends, and most of the time we're right, and that's just how it's going. But I don't know. Again, they've just fallen back into this funk. They had a really, really good beginning first 2 or 3 weeks of June, 2.5 weeks, and then it's just, and again, the Rangers have pieces. They have not been the team that won the World Series 2 years ago, and obviously facing Jacob DeGrom, that take away the Orioles just completely kind of crap in the bed yesterday. Jacob DeGrom, I placed a bet on it, and this isn't just because they played the Orioles. I placed a wager on him to win the Cy Young after last night. He is incredible, and he looks he looks so good. He looks like prime DeGrom again. So when it's oh, the Orioles are getting no perfect game by Jacob DeGrom, it's yeah, that's kind of what he does, and that's what he's been doing for a majority of this season. So
that's what he did 8 years ago.
Yeah, and that's where it's that's why I was talking to Ebo last night. Ebo also has money on him. Ebo's had it for a while, but I got him at plus 1,200. But it's this is the old Jacob DeGrom. So it's
what's Syndergaard up to? I think the Orioles could use some.
He was scheduled to pitch in the Mets have an old timers, a throwback game that they're doing. I think they're doing 4 teams, and they were putting them together, and he was on that list. The White Sox signed him Monday. Someone was oh, I guess he's not going to play in the Mets, blah, blah, blah. Matt Harvey could play in the game.
Dude, I remember going to a Mets series, this must have been 8 or 9 years ago when him and DeGrom were both together and they pitched back-to-back nights. I went to the Syndergaard game. That was fucking crazy. I was like, dude, these guys are both just unbelievable. Oh, now here we are 10 years later. I'm happy to see DeGrom, pitching well. It sucks that it had happened against the Orioles, but I always like both those guys.
Yeah, he's one of the best pitchers that we've seen in our generation. And obviously the injuries have hurt him, but but again, take that away. He was awesome. He was going to do that to any team last night. It's just piling on top of what when the Orioles get no hit by Clark Schmidt for 7 innings. That's where it's
tough.
Come on, man. You got to Max Fried early the night before. What you're letting Clark Schmidt. And again, they had won. I think it's still, because they lost the game on Tuesday where they came back and they were getting no hit in that one, but they had won, I think, 4 straight starts against lefties. So you're okay, that weird lefty curse thing is gone. And that guy, I think his name was Latz, that kind, he had him for 6 or 7 innings, 6 innings. And then he gave up the walk to Jackson and walk to Gunnar. And then, the floodgates opened from there. But so they played better against the lefties and they've been scoring a little bit, but when you take a step back and look at this team, you're just seeing, everything everyone's saying in the comments. First and second, no outs, 95% of the time. The third batter strikes out. We never, even score.
Or they get to 2 outs and then they're literally batting 1,000. When it's 2 outs and nobody on.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, it's very frustrating to watch right now. I'm sure they're all frustrated. Again, they had that little all right, we're at 9 games under 500, and we're kind of crawling back into this thing. And I think I said it last week. They can't get over that 9 to 10 games under 500 kind of, the next leap is getting to 6 games under and then 5 games under and then, take it from there. But I think we're 5 weeks out from the trade deadline, and things are getting, more and more murky. And I think Jacob was on with Glenn today. He had a good point. And I said this the other night. But talk about trading Cedric Mullins. And it was you probably should move some of these guys. They'll wait to move O'Hearn until after the All-Star game because he's was named the number 1. It's him versus Ben Rice to start the All-Star game. I just tweeted it, but shout out to O'Hearn too, because only 7 players in the AL got more votes than O'Hearn did. Not just DHs, players. So I thought that says a lot about a guy like him and the year that he's had. So that has to feel good. But again, it's kind of like the Manny situation where they will let him, he'll represent the Orioles in the All-Star game. And then I'm guessing he'll get moved somewhere and they'll get something. But again, it's are you really going to trade Cedric Mullins to get a 21-year-old pitcher who's in the Phillies, high A or something like that?
That's what I'm saying, man. These rebuilds, they take a long time if you're going to do it through the draft in baseball. You can't just, move a draft pick and then move that draft pick for another guy. It's just I don't know. Like, if you're going to move on for, like you said, the high A, pitcher in the Phillies organization or whatever, like some, young bat that's still a couple of years away. It's like, that's great, but like, you're just
doesn't
signing
help them at all for next year.
You're just signing fans up for another couple of years of just a slog. And guess what? Like, in a couple of years, you're right. You've been dead on about the fact that there might not even be baseball in 2027. That seems like a pretty distinct possibility at this point. B, you don't have any of these young guys already that you have signed up long term. You haven't shown an ability to spend money wisely in free agency. It's just like, man, you're just like taking a step off the deep end head first, and you're not even sure there's like water in the pool. Like, it's tough as a fan to consider that possibility, but like the way their track record, like, I'm expecting them to just sell everybody off and we'll start over. And I don't know what we're going to talk about on this podcast for the next couple of years, but I guess that's
it won't be a full, we're not doing the full rebuild. I think the guys that are going to get moved are the expiring contracts. The O'Hearn, the Mullins, Eflin. The Athletic or ESPN put out like their top 50 people they think are going to get traded, and all those guys were on there. Sagano was way down there. Sagano was in like the 40s. So again, we talked about him kind of hitting the rough patch, and they were giving him a day off. He was in the 6-man rotation in Japan, so that's why they're kind of, they bumped him back. Brandon Young at the start yesterday. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would assume that he would get looks, but Paston had him way down on that list for where they think, who gets moved and things like that. But again, I think those are the 4 that you look at. And I think you could do a little bit of what the Rays pretty much do every year, is where they'll like sell a guy and then they make another trade and they bring in like a guy that's going to help them that year. And it's like, they do a little bit of both. So I think the Orioles could do some of that. Because again, this isn't a team that's fully like waving the white flag on the next couple years. This isn't the 2019 deadline where you're selling Manny and Scope and O'Day and Gossman and Britton and all those guys. I think you're good. I mean, opening day lineup next year, you're going to have a Samuel Basayo, you're going to have Jackson, you're going to have Mayo, you're going to have Gunnar, you're going to have Adley, you're going to have Colton, you're going to have Westberg. So you're going to have all those guys. It's more of like a retool, kind of reconfigure, rearranging chairs on the deck of the Titanic for this year, if you want. Gentlemen, it's been an honor playing with you, and I have that video queued up and ready to go. But yeah, I did the deadline. I saw somebody being like, I'm gonna hate Mike Elias forever if he trades Ryan O'Hearn. Ryan O'Hearn's gonna get traded. Like I think that you have to separate like the business side of it from like you being a fan, and that's perfectly fine. But like, he's going to get traded. These guys are going to get moved. I mean, we saw it happen to everyone. They tried to trade Adam Jones. They traded Manny. They traded O'Day. Like, they traded Zach Britton. These things are going to happen. Like, you kind of have to realize that now, so you're not sitting there like, oh my God, how did this happen? We know how it happened. They played bad baseball for, I don't know, 2.5 of the 3 months that they've been playing now, So that's why they're in that situation. So
I mean, I get that's the Elias track record, but like, where I'd come down is people don't have to like it. They don't have to sign on for it. And it's like it's just really disheartening in a sport where it's just increasingly more haves and have-nots. And it's like, you're in a division with a New York ball club that can just go and fucking buy everyone they want. And you've got the Dodgers on the other coast doing the exact same thing. And like, even clubs like the Braves, right? You look at them, they'll go out and spend a little bit of money. And there are some other ones too. The Red Sox, it's not bearing fruit from them right now. They spend a lot of money too. They're also in the division. Toronto throws money around, not wisely. They do it. But yeah, man, I mean, you're right. Like, maybe the ideal outlook is like a Tampa Bay, but like, even then, man, like, does it feel like they have a ton of hope to win a ring year in and year out? Not really. And I think maybe, is that like a huge indictment on Elias? I think for some of the things I've heard some of the things that have floated around, I'd say maybe, because it's like, you hear about him getting the green light and not choosing to spend it. And I'd say that is a bit of an indictment, but then it's also just kind of an indictment on the overall sport, which to me is an even more disheartening thing. It's like, why am I even tuning into this shit every year if this is what we're just going to deal with? It's tough. Yeah, I'm just venting a little bit. I'm sure I'll, come back around, but it's just like the last 3 series, like I said, have just been a real kick to the dick for me. And I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah. I mean, I sat down last night and I think it was 1-0 when I got home. I turned on the TV, and I think 3 pitches later, Josh Young hit the home run, and I just turned it off and was like, okay, I'm not doing this tonight. And again, I'm doing what Carabas said: protect your peace. Go. Go.
I'm not here to argue.
Do something. So it's but yeah, it's been an absolute kick in the dick the last couple weeks. And again, I see the comments about people being like, oh, they don't care, they're not frustrated. I think they're more frustrated than we are. It's like, again, these guys go to work and are bad, and are doing bad, and nothing is going right. It's not like they're driving home like, man, that was awesome today, that was so much fun. Like, these guys are pissed, and I see some people being like, I tweet out one of the bad calls that an umpire will make or something like that. And someone is like, why doesn't Mansolino do anything? Why, he just sits there. And it's like, what? He's not going to get kicked out on a ball, 2 inches outside on the plate, in the 3rd inning of a game when they're down, whatever. Like, that's just not, I don't know. But I don't know. It's just, like you said, everyone is kind of feeling the same thing. It's the dog days of summer now. It's been 100 degrees. You're watching your team lose, and it's like you're getting the notifications, no hit, perfect game, no hit, and it's just sucks.
This was the first time all year we turned the AC on. It worked for a little bit, and then it just crapped out.
Ugh.
And the most brutal stretch of the week. We got a thankfully easy fix today. We got it done, but holy shit, that was a tough couple of nights there. And yeah, sitting there watching the Orioles, just crap the bed in their own way. That just made it even worse. So yeah, maybe that's where some of my saltiness is coming from.
It's all right. Joe had turned the thermostat down to 63 the other day without me knowing. So between that and her hiding my wallet, not hiding my wallet, taking my credit card out of my wallet and hiding that, getting to Chick-fil-A and thumbing through my wallet going, oh crap, I don't know where my card is. So yeah, that was a good. Everything has just been great this week. But yeah, and then they come right back with Tampa again. What is it? 3 versus Tampa this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be on a second of that. I got to be honest. I'm excited to just kind of check out for a little bit.
Yeah, we'll be off the reservation a little bit, but then they have Texas again, and again, I don't know who they have after that. I haven't looked that far ahead. But it's kind of, this is kind of a put up or shut up. It's been that for 2 months now. But like I said, with the trade deadline 5 weeks away, you've got, what are they? They're 12 games under 500.
34 and 46. Yeah.
34 and 46. And in the wild card spot, they've got a lot of teams ahead of them, and they're 7 games back. So you got a lot. It's getting very late, very quick, and you have to make up time. You don't have, this is what we talked about a couple weeks ago. You don't really have time or a series to okay, you can drop this series as long as you win the next one. They're not doing that. They're not winning series. They're not winning games. And that's why it sucks when you're up 2-1 in Yankee Stadium and you can get a series, and you hit back-to-back home runs and have taken control of a game, and have your, Gregory Soto, who has been very good lately, in the game. And then he walks the first batter, and before you blink, the guy's on third, and then it's a tie ball game again. So those are the games you have to win. These games, every game is now a must win for them. And the more that they just drop games, and again, I'm anticipating more people tuning out. And, again, I still laugh every time I see people being like, well, at least I have the Ravens. And I'm like, yeah, because they've done nothing but give you guys joy the last couple. Again, they're better. It's fine.
It's all relative. I'm going to stick up for the Ravens here because they fucking go, I was talking about, they at least try to put a competitive product on the field, and they succeed for most of the year.
They do.
Entire year, but
I know. But again, I'm like, this is good. They're both these seasons are going to end in heartbreak. We pretty much, I don't know. This may be the year though for you guys, but
yeah, it's always the year. Well, there's no excuses. That's what I'm being told. No excuses this time. Yeah, because everyone's real easy on them. Every other time they, piss down their leg.
Yeah, I don't know, but no, this is I don't know. This sucks. Just because, again, we kind of had that little glimmer of hope, and we're like, all right, this is, we can get this going a little bit, and they have not. So, and the way they're losing games now, again, it's almost like you would rather them be down 6-0 in the third than have a 2-1 lead at Yankee Stadium in the eighth, or the back-to-back home runs to go ahead and be like, all right, now we're going to
the full Lemansky, and they couldn't even capitalize on it.
No, man, Soto, that guy was on third. If you got up to like get a glass of water and put ice in it, by the time you came back with that cup of water, the guy was on third. And you're like, oh shit, what happened? Like, how did that happen? So
It's just
yeah,
instant. Yeah.
that's just again that's how it's going. And Adley will be out for another the All-Star game. I forget. I think it's a month, something like that. But yeah, it's has not been a fun stretch of has not been a fun stretch of baseball here.
Yeah, I think it kind of turns into like the Sio watch at a certain point too. Like they opted for we talked about it, I think kind of not even really seriously, but just maybe it's a possibility they opted for Trump, who actually was behind the plate for Trevor Rogers' gem there. I mean, who would have thought Trevor Rogers going 8 innings of just completely perfect shutdown ball with Chadwick Trump behind the plate there in 100-degree weather in like the middle of June. I didn't have that on my bingo card. So
did we even talk about Maverick Hanley getting leveled?
No,
I don't think we did. We didn't do it after the Yankee. Did we do it after the Yankee series?
We might have, yeah. No, I think we did, right? Because that was his Jazz. He collided with him, right?
Yeah, I don't know if we did a pod on Sunday. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, we did.
Did we? Okay. Yeah, that was just crazy. But yeah, I mean the Basayo talk. I don't know. I mean, like he'll be up. I get a lot of the people being like, oh, what do you have to lose? But there's also a lot of people who are like, he's still developing as a player, as a catcher. Like, I understand wanting him to take his lumps in the bigs and kind of get his feet under him there. But it's also like, again, how many times have we seen it, especially with the Orioles, but especially this year, a lot of these young guys who come up, look at Roman Anthony for the Red Sox. He's awful right now. Like a lot of these guys who come up are not good, not just Orioles players, but a lot of these top prospects who come up have not been hitting. But then you factor in the Oriole, Cowser did it, Adley did it, Gunnar did it, like Jackson did it. All those guys were bad when they came up. So it's like we're just going to kind of do the same thing where Basayo's going to come up. He's going to go 1 for 26 with like a single, and everyone's going to be like, oh, this guy sucks. We got to get him out of here. Why would you even bring him up? Now you're ruining his confidence. And then we're playing this cat and mouse game. So he'll be up at some point this season, I'm sure. Obviously, the bat looks like he's ready.
I wasn't saying like right now. I just think when is it going to happen? It's going to be the talking point. And it's like, would it be like August? I think that
probably probably follow the Gunner, and who I don't know.
Grayson, maybe.
I guess timeline. Heston was kind of on that same timeline, end of August, and then because you keep him under 130 at bats, and you hope for that draft pick.
Is that how they did it with Grayson? I want to say.
No, Grayson got called up because Bradish got hit on the foot.
Okay.
He didn't make the opening day roster, and then they went to Texas for like the third series of the year, and the first game of that series, Bradish got hit on the foot, and they needed a starter because Wells came in. Wells was supposed to pitch the next night. Wells came in.
COVID year, was he?
No. That was 22, I think. 22, 23.
Okay.
23, I think.
Wow. That's way more recent than I thought. I feel
like I don't know. Because he faced DeGrom as a Ranger. So whenever DeGrom signed, I don't know. Okay. I don't remember.
Yeah, it must have been. I think it probably was 22. Or maybe 21.
Yeah. 23, Trev, yeah.
When we hung out with them that one night, I think that was 20. I think that was going into 23.
Yeah, because Grayson hadn't been in the bigs yet because DL Hall was giving him shit about it.
Yeah.
This one by Slyster, anytime an O's major player stinking up the joint, they end up on the IL as if using it as an excuse. I don't think that's accurate. Like Adley was red hot and they put him on the IL. I don't think that's true unless there's a couple guys like obviously Westberg earlier in the year, but
yeah,
Westberg had 2 home runs in that game.
He might just be a little upset and we're doing some connecting the dots. Not conspiracy, just connecting the dots.
Yeah.
I don't we make space for that.
Yeah, which that's fine. I don't like the one that I can think of is like Westberg, who remember they had that quote about him being like, he can't even walk into the clubhouse after the game. And it's like, then stop playing him and put him on the IL instead of running him out there.
He's like 24 years old. Maybe like he shouldn't be.
I thought he got hit by a car. I was like, what do you mean he can't walk into the clubhouse? But I don't know.
Literally like the Jim McMahon on like the Bears 30 for 30.
Yeah, and like a neck brace and shit. Like I don't know. That was bizarre. But no, the Orioles, we thought they were getting healthier and then they aren't. with Adley. But
Yeah, that's another big story of this season. Is the health. What are you going to do to try and buck this trend going into next season? Can you make a tangible change? Like I said, I was never this person. And then Steve Saunders kind of broke me, in addition to all the other men that he broke down physically. I don't know. It's worth a discussion. But to be fair, I couldn't even name who their S&C person is right now. So
I'm looking. I tweeted this the other night. This was a Dodgers tweet that I scrolled upon. Most games missed, IL stints. The Dodgers have 1,065 games. They are the most by far. The number 2 team is the Baltimore Orioles at 786. So, again, it's you don't use injuries as excuses, but I think they've gotten their ass handed to them by the injury bug. And I was talking to, I can't remember if it was Brett or Jeff the other night, but I said, like, man, they had such good luck with their injuries in 23. It was basically only Cedric who missed that little time, and then Aaron Hicks turned into Barry Bonds. And it was kind of like you're kind of on even playing field there. But man, I mean, this year and then the second half of last year, they've just been gotten the shit beat out of them, and these injuries have really taken their toll. And I don't think it was a coincidence that the Orioles did start playing better once Colton and Westberg got back. But that like I said, that's kind of just fallen off the table. I love Jordan Westberg, and I'm not saying this is him, but him having a sliding mitt and jamming his finger in the sliding mitt, I thought that's what the sliding mitt was for. Why even have it? Again, it's nothing against Westberg. It's just, that's one of the things where it's like, yeah, it really is just not their year. Like
after what happened to him and Cowser, I think we just got to teach him to start squaring up, just go in with a lowered shoulder into whatever base you're trying to take. Just forget the slide, just knock the guy flat on his ass, right? And just assume your dominance at that.
I guess. It was just that to me was that is like the storyline. That or like him having the bad back because the bed was too soft in Sarasota. Like those kind of things are just summing up the Orioles season right now. Like that's just how it goes. Like it's like again, you see these damn sliding mitts and dicks. They're like 150. They're like $100.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know what God they pissed off or what happened, but it's like look at the little Baltimore Orioles who haven't done anything of note in 40 years. Apparently they're the ones that are ripe for these curses and hexes and whatever the hell is being thrown at them. Can we direct some of that energy up the 95 corridor a little bit? There are a couple of clubs. I got some great literature I could give to you that you could maybe just throw some of these hexes on. One of them actually already has been, according to you, just the worst ball club in MLB history up there in Boston. But there's
I call that? Did I call that or what?
You did.
Yeah. Well,
continue to take that victory lap. They're 2 games below 500.
But they're a mess all over the place. But I will say that so in Sarasota, so they're renovating the complex and they're building another new building to add on at the facility, and we were able to see around it a little bit. Maybe that's on an Indian burial ground. It has to be. That's the only thing I could think of. Something happened down there, but it was just
maybe the Hilton was built on one.
Great parking spot. The building itself sucks, but that's where I park for every game, and you can't beat it. But yeah, I don't know. Something funky is going on. They need. I know Trey and I think Austin Wins burned the sage when they had lost the 19 straight games. I wouldn't hate seeing Gunnar and Colton walk around with a little sage in the outfield and
nobody hits the Baltimore Orioles 3 games in a row. Absolutely nobody.
Who's that? Who's been tweeting that? Zach, I think Zach Bollinger's been tweeting that. No one, you may hit the Orioles for 7 innings, but you won't do it for 8 or something like that.
No one beats Vitas Gerulaitis 17 times in a row.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. Again, it's going to be a very interesting next couple weeks. To see how they play. Again, I mean, it's draining on them mentally and physically, obviously, but mentally, losing these games like they are has to just absolutely sap you of, everything. And I don't know. It sucks that they're going through this. And remember last year where you're like, man, none of these guys have really gone through, failure, either professionally, individually, team-wise. And now it's like, we're just going to put all that right back together and mush it all into one big ball of clay. You're all going to struggle. The team's going to be dog shit. and like you guys are going to lose in like the most heartbreaking ways possible. Like enjoy this, like have fun. Oh, by the way, it's also going to be 110 degrees out in 3 straight series that you play in Tampa, New York, and Baltimore with no days off. Enjoy that one. And it's just like, yeah, there's just absolutely nothing you can do.
Yeah, no, it kind of feels like things are a little hopeless right now, unfortunately. But hey, as Spenny would say, all they got to do is just rattle off 15 in a row. So
why can't they win 20 in a month?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's not going to be the month of June. I'll tell you that much, because that
July could be July. That was. We should go back and look at like their record since he said that. Like, what if? Like, why can't they? It's like, well,
he had a wild
laundry list. Like, you're just going through the list of like,
I don't know. Something tells me he like maybe placed a futures bet on them or something at the time, because he was very passionate about it. He had a wild look in his eye, and yeah, I don't know where that came from. But
he was spot on when he had them under 86 wins. He was like, oh, I'm hammering that under 86 easily. So I don't know. He knows ball. We'll say that. But yeah. And here go Trev said this too. I'm expecting them to sell at the deadline. More curious how this changes the organization's offseason philosophy. Again, this is arguably the most important offseason for the Orioles in their team history. This is going to be Mike Elias's last manager hired, I would think. Whether it's good or bad, like if they hire, I don't know, Ryan Flaherty, and then win 4 Worlds, I don't know. It's probably going to be the last one, and with them bringing in John Mabry, who I think I was told that he wasn't an Elias signing. Like it wasn't Elias being like, hey, let's go out and help.
Yeah, I think Manzolino asked, and he was like, yeah, go ahead.
I think that was appointed from probably somewhere higher up too. And again, I mean, it was working well for him right off the bat, and they've kind of come back down to earth, but. I don't know what it says about hitting coaches and pitching coaches and this, but I think you have to look at everything, a complete retool on coaching staff. And yeah, you need veterans. We've said that before. You've seen that. I mean, how many times has Ramon Laureano bailed him out this year? He's a veteran who knows how to win, but you can't just have these young guys and be like, oh, you can't be the dog walker with 15 puppy golden retrievers around you. You've said it before. Like we need the what's it called? You need that pit bull, you need that Rottweiler, you need that old nasty mangy dog that people cross the street when when you're walking towards them. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one. We'll say that the winter meetings, boy, oh boy, are those going to be fun if the Orioles don't make a move again. I don't know how many times I can beat the like, oh, well, it's still a long offseason drum.
Well, they'll still be like EBITDA positive or whatever stupid fucking Wall Street term they'll use to justify, what like the PE guy on Instagram. Yeah, actually,
PE guy.
Yeah, I'll send you some clips. We got to drive tomorrow. Actually, I'll show you when we're in the car together.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Yep. So I don't know. We'll have to see, and it's kind of all we got. There we go. Lift off, baby.
Yep. Well, it is liftoff from here for this show. Thank you all for hanging with us here as we vented for the last 40 minutes about the O's. There will be plenty more to come throughout the rest of the summer. If you liked what you heard, subscribe to us here on YouTube or wherever you're getting your shows. Like the video, comment on it, do all that good stuff. Find us on social media at Exit52 Podcast on X, the Everything app, and Instagram. You can find me at Jake Luke. That's LOUQUE. Eric at EDITTI22. Brian at Barstool Banks, Spenny at Ravens 4 Dummies, that's the number 4, and Taylor, Uncle T at Taylor Smythe 10. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you guys very, very soon.
See ya.